Presentation on speech difficulties in young children. Are speech difficulties in young children common? Unclear speech in a preschool child is not unusual. Difficulties can range from just one or two immature sounds to completely unclear speech. Speech may be unclear for a number of reasons, including hearing loss. Many children have something called glue ear, where their hearing fluctuates when they have a bad cold or a chest infection. But once this is cleared up, their hearing goes back to normal. Other children may have a more permanent hearing loss. Immature listening and attention skills. This leads to poor awareness of speech sounds. Difficulties saying sounds accurately. We call this articulation. A physical issue such as a cleft palate. But a tongue tie is not usually a problem for speech development. Excessive dummy use, as this can stop them using their lips and tongue tip accurately to make speech sounds. What skills do children need to develop clear speech? To develop accurate speech production, a child needs to be able to do listening to those around them and focus on how they speak. This relies on good attention skills. They need to develop awareness of how words are formed into syllables and individual sounds. They need to learn to control the lips and tongue for quick, accurate movements for speech sound production. They need to learn to listen to their own speech so that they can correct any errors that they make. Developing clear speech is complicated and can be tricky if children have difficulties with any of these skills. Typical speech development. By 3 years, most children are using a wide range of vowel sounds, E, oo, ah, o, and consonants like p, b, m, t, d, n, k, g, and maybe using a f and a s sound. By 3.5, most children can put sounds on the ends of words such as cat, book. By 3.5, most children are able to use a v and z, such as van and zoo. By 4 years, most children are able to mark all the syllables in words such as butterfly and elephant. By 4.5 years, most children can use a ch, j and sh sound, as in chair, jump and shoe. By 4.5 years, most children are starting to use sound clusters such as star and spoon and green. By 5 years, many children can use a th or th sound, such as thing and there. By 5.5 to 6 years, most children can use a r sound, as in run. So what can go wrong? Typical errors made for longer than expected, a speech delay. A child may make all the speech sounds expected for his age on their own, but he cannot use them correctly in words. There's often a pattern to their errors, which would be typical of a younger child, such as missing off the ends of words. Boat would be bow, hat would be hat. They may shorten the longer sounds, such as s, to a shorter sound like d. So sock would become dock, sun might be done, and f might go to a b. So for might be bore, and farm might be balm. And sounds normally made at the back of the mouth, such as k and g, are made with the front of the tongue instead. So key might become t, and go might become dough. Children might have some unusual or atypical errors, and we would call this a speech disorder. So the child may be able to say a range of sounds, but uses them in unusual patterns of errors, such as missing off the beginnings of the word, like boat becoming o and car as r. using the mouth sounds, back of the mouth sounds k and g instead of front of the tongue sounds t and d. So T might be key and door might be gore. They may have very delayed patterns of sounds normally expected of a much younger child. So if at 4 they're still missing off all the ends of words, that would be a disorder rather than just a delay. Some children may have articulation difficulties. This means the ability to say a particular sound accurately or clearly. Some children may have difficulty learning the correct movement of the lips and tongue for a particular sound and may need to be taught how to do this. Some articulation difficulties can be the result of dummy use, as this restricts the movement of the tip of the tongue, only allowing movement at the back of the tongue. So a t and a d are often produced as a k and a g. Sometimes a s or sh can sound slushy, like a sh or a sound. So how does a speech and language therapist help a child with speech difficulties? First, we assess the child's speech and decide if we think there is a speech delay, a speech disorder, or an articulation difficulty. Sometimes there can be a combination of any of these. We consider the child's age, their level of attention skills, and any other relevant factors, such as whether or not you are able to commit to regular work with your child at that time, to help us decide what type of help we can offer. We may feel that your child is not ready to work on speech skills yet and suggest some general listening and attention activities. Children under 3.5 years are generally offered a home programme to begin with. Once we have decided what help your child needs, we will offer you a home programme or some sessions in clinic, whichever we feel is best for the child. Our main role is to demonstrate activities for you to continue on a daily basis at home. Regular practice at home is essential to ensure progress. So what can you do to help? React to what your child says, not how he says it. Your child probably doesn't realise he's saying words incorrectly, so correcting them may only confuse them. Don't ask him to repeat words. Repeat back what your child has said, but correctly. So if your child says, I like tars, you say, I like stars too. You could emphasise the part they got wrong slightly. Don't pretend to understand. Encourage your child to use gesture or show you what they mean. Sometimes you may have to admit that you don't understand. You may want to say something like, oh, mummy's ears aren't working very well today. I'm sorry, I just don't get that word. Change the subject and focus on something positive. Build confidence. Repeat the parts of speech back that you have understood to show them that you've at least understood some of what they've said. And here are some activities to try. You can clap out the beats in words such as butterfly or elephant, or you could tap your feet, or mark the syllables with counters or bricks. The aim is for the child to listen to you say the word and then to try and say all the syllables themselves as they clap them out or tap their feet or point to each counter. You could make a scrapbook and find or draw pictures of items containing a sound which the child is not using correctly yet, such as a s. You could find sock, seat, sun, six, soap, sea, horse, house, mouse. Try to find 8 to 10 pictures for each page and look back through them on a regular basis with your child, emphasising the sound identified on each page. Have a special sound bag or box and collect items with a particular sound in it to put in words starting with that sound. So you might have fork, farmer, frog, 5, photo, knife, leaf, or loaf. You say a word incorrectly and see if your child notices. So when playing with farm animals, you might say, "Here's a cow," instead of cow. If your child doesn't notice a mistake, you could draw his attention to it. "Mummy said tow. That's not right, is it? It should be cow." Play with sounds, encouraging your child to copy and make different sounds. For example, saying wee going down the slide, and ooh for the wind, or t t t t for rain on the window, or s for a snake. Read books with repetitive rhymes such as Peepo, Hairy Maclary, The Gruffalo, Room on a Broom, etc. Once your child is familiar with the story, leave out words for him to fill in. To find out more about speech sound development, look at Tiny Happy People by the BBC. Please see our other short videos for further ideas to develop speech awareness and articulation skills.